You've never seen a video like this before? Except you have, because everyone is making pretty much the exact same video right now. This is irony, please laugh. The Pyro update is right around the corner. Actually no, I'm not saying that. Last time I said that was around May. And we're halfway through August now. And I'm not making any more predictions, because fuck that. But as the Pyro update is coming out at some point in the never so distant future, I thought I'd throw my 2 cents on what I'd like from it, as my opinion is definitely significant and matters, as I'm a YouTuber, and we're far more important than you guys. Hit registration is a very dodgy thing in TF2, and that's no secret to people. Anything from setting fire to someone behind you when you're actually looking in front of you, or swinging your eyelander or hitting someone across the map, or getting a backstab on someone who's actually facing you. It's pretty messed up, and it becomes a huge issue for people in competitive and pub settings. It's gotten to the point where in order to become good at Knife Spy, you have to learn trick stabs that are just straight up hit registration exploits. Like the stab where you will stand with your back to an enemy and then walk into them backwards. Once your back connects with their front, you can swing and get a backstab. Yeah, that's actually a documented and practiced thing by some spies. And honestly, that's not too much fun to play against, and it becomes very frustrating. However, it's not all daisies and sunshine, because there are times that we should definitely get a backstab, and it will show the animation, then somehow it will just fail to carry out for some reason, and you won't get the kill. Again, very frustrating and not fun at all. Balance changes are something that are often needed in games, but the thing I really don't like about TF2's balance is there are weapons that are just straight up useless, or weapons that are just never used because there are weapons that do it better. When was the last time you ever saw the Vitasaur used, or the Overdose, or the Claymore? It's not just that they're weak, it's that there are other weapons that can take their slots and do another job a lot better than they can. This renders them completely useless and never used at all. And this needs to be changed. And in my opinion, before we start releasing new weapons that will probably have very bad gimmicks, we need to give every weapon that is currently in the game an actual purpose. Something that it can do better than their other weapons to make it viable to be used. This would make more of a strategy to the game. People could design loadouts for certain strategies that they could synchronize with their teammates, and this would be wonderful, as it would give more variety. It's like, oh no, that person's using that weapon, I better count it with this weapon, instead of everyone basically using the same old loadouts. And this would be great. And if Valve want to take TF2 into a more competitive direction, if the rumours are actually true, that would be great. It would make unlocks more viable and competitive. It would really shake up the meta. Different weapons would have different purposes, and these different purposes could be used to counter different strategies. This would give the meta a brand new life, and make people properly think about what loadout they're going to use, instead of just leaving these certain weapons just die, and gather up all the dust, because no one's ever going to use them. Next up is MVM, and I know it's unlikely, but I'm not going to ask for much. Some specific MVM reskins or extra rewards for Man vs Machine might just be what it needs to bring it some more life. Yes, standard bot killers and Australiums are very cool, but it'd be even more awesome to know you could receive something else instead. Maybe other Australian weapons or MVM themed skins even. Anything that would give you more of an incentive to play MVM again would definitely help. Obviously new missions and maps would be great, and that would definitely help. But I'm not setting my hopes too high for anything like that. And it's not that MVM isn't a fun game mode, it definitely is. It's just that it becomes very old, very quick. It becomes quite monotonous just playing on the same maps, getting the same rewards, and that's because it's gone years without any real attention or nurturing. And this has left it to become stale, without any new content to play. This means that the players of the game mode are on the decline, just leaving the veterans that play it every single day, and no new players coming to the game mode at all. Okay, this is just a tiny thing, but please, Valve, if you're listening, it's just the tiniest fucking thing, and it's so easy to fix. But the rocket jumpers animation, please, I love the new model. I personally think it looks really fucking cool, and it suits the weapon really well. It looks like a toy, that's awesome. That really works for me. But goddammit Valve, just fix his hand clipping into the model. Why didn't you fix that before you actually released this? Why? His hand literally goes into the rocket launcher's barrel. Seriously, please fix that. It's very annoying. Okay, next up are just some things that won't actually be in-game, but are things that can definitely increase TF2's lifespan outside of the game itself. Firstly, fixing or improving the VAC system is something that has been long needed, but not just for TF2, but for all Valve games. VAC is a very lackluster system. Yeah, it does its job and fair play, but it's become quite old and it does its job just very slowly and it's very easy to evade at this point. It takes no more than 5 minutes to set up another account to cheat on after you've been banned, and this means that the hackers just keep coming. The system needs to be improved as hackers are a real plague right now, and they make the game basically unplayable when you're in a server with one of them. And this is really unfun, as it does just straight up ruin the game for people, and there are people out there that will do this as their idea of fun and enjoyment, which in my idea is quite sad, and this needs to be stopped. Next up are the sponsored events, and you may have seen the CSGO tournaments or the Dota Internationals advertised on Steam recently, as Dota 2 and CSGO are Valve's two largest games, with TF2 just lagging behind them. Both of the tournaments organised for Dota and CSGO have been sponsored and set up by Valve themselves, with very large prize pools and incentives to play in them. However, TF2 has never had this. It's always been down to the community to set up LAN events, with barely any input from Valve themselves. Groups like Essentials.tf and Team Fortress TV have actually just done all the work, with little to no notice from the game developers themselves, and this is something that needs to change. So if Valve does want to push TF2 into a more competitive orientated environment, large contests are something that it definitely needs. Whether they set up their own TF2 championships, or they just sponsor the existing ones created by the community, it will create a huge difference for the game's direction. And it's worked for Dota, and it's worked for CSGO, so I'm sure it would definitely help TF2. So yeah, that's what I want from the next TF2 update. Yes, I excluded new weapons or new maps and new skins from the contracts, as I'm sure you've heard them all before, and it's pretty obvious we're likely going to get them anyway. But I hand the microphone to you. What do you want from TF2's next update? Leave a comment down below telling me what you want. I've been Doomsday. I'll see you next time. Good night.